garden design doesn't have to be expensive, and often it has to operate within the existing framework of the garden. In this case, we have a large patio leading to a home office with the door looking back and the window looking back down the garden, and there is a small steps and retaining wall. We can't change this hard landscaping, but what we can change is the journey from the steps to the end office. Now we can do that by changing the shape of the lawn, maybe an oval would work, and putting planting in around the edges on one side and potentially planting around the other side, and give ourselves a journey going from one side of the garden to the other end. So how does that look? Well, we can also make it a bit more interesting, possibly. We could add some extra borders in so that we have something of interest rather than just an empty bowl of space going from A to B. So how does this look? Well, yes, it improves it. We have a reason to look through, but these two additions look a bit clunky. They don't fit in. But what about if we think slightly more radically and create a border that crosses the path, maybe, so that we give ourselves a lawn either side and we create a deep swathe of planting along the middle of the garden? How would that look? It's a little different, it's a little radical, but let's try. Let's see what this might look like. So again, I can put some planting in, and this planting would be vertical and soft and would dance and move with the wind, so it wouldn't be a really dense barrier. We want to see through a little bit towards the end of the garden. So how would that fare? Does that feel like it looks good? Well, it's nice, but it leaves the lawn looking an odd shape. The lawn doesn't fit in with the straight path. There's too many straight lines and a rather weird looking shape of border. It doesn't seem very balanced. This garden really needs probably a little more symmetry. We've got so much symmetry at front and the back that maybe if we complement the symmetry by adding some borders in between the patio and maybe a central border down the path, how would that look? Well, that's better, I think, but these two narrow straight borders here can't be planted particularly well, and again the centre planting just feels a little heavy. So if we change the shape, and in this time we'll soften it, but we're still having a symmetrical shape, we can give the lawn a route through, and because we're using this elongated octagon, that central path seems to fit in quite well. So how does this look like in real life? Well, if I just take out the clutter so you can see the garden that was there, and then we can put in these diagonal borders. Now again, in this garden, because we're surrounded by solid heavy structures, we've got the wall, the office, we've got the roofs, we've got the large hedges, we need the planting to be different. We need it to attract our attention. We need it to be pretty. We want to see through it. We don't want to add more solid heavy structures in this garden because nothing will move. Nothing will contrast with the surroundings that we have. And what I want to be able to do with the planting scheme is to make you notice the plants and the flowers in the garden. Because if we can hold your attention on the plants and flowers, you'll notice the hard landscaping less. If you walk up the garden and there's a butterfly fluttering on a plant, you will look at that rather than the straight path and the office at the end. And that's all we're trying to do, is we're creating distractions. So as you can see here, I might add a few slightly taller shrubs or maybe specimen trees and a couple of pots on the patio in front of the home office. And then potentially we could add some pots on the patio nearer the house that would complement or mirror or reflect the plants that we've got at the far end. We repeat the colour scheme, we repeat the planting so that you can, if we repeat this planting, it feels like the garden is joined together. And then I have a reason to walk down from the large patio at the house towards my home office at the far end. I've got a nice journey to go. There's a transition. It's not just exit one empty space and walk along until I meet my home office and go to work. I can create an attractive journey. So let me finish off all these squiggly bits, and we can put some feature plants in pots here by the patio so that you can just soften the edges a little bit, blur that retaining wall. And just finish off the last one there. So, how did this turn out? What did this look like? Well, I think you can see that the whole garden feels softer, we've got coordinated colours, and it just looks really nice.